we ended up calling audible. Like we're sleeping in the truck time. We jump in the truck, shut the doors. There's probably 500 to 1,000 mosquitoes in my truck. I'm talking like the headliner in my truck. We look up and the headliner in my truck is just like speckled black with mosquitoes. They're on all the windows. They're on us. They're on everything in my truck. Okay?
Dude.
We then proceed for the next 45 minutes taking our hats off, kill mosquitoes, swat mosquitoes in my truck.
Man, it feels good to be back in the studio. Does it not?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty nice, huh?
It's nice not to be traveling.
It's been a minute. Back in the studio doing some Q&As today. We're going to get to them here in a second. We've been traveling quite a bit lately. We've been all the way up through Arkansas and Missouri doing episodes. And we haven't had a normal Thursday episode in 2 weeks because we had Brandon Gowan on, who's a listener, became very successful over the last couple of years. And we kind of talked about his story, what's made him successful. That's a good one. If you haven't heard that one already, go back and make sure you listen to that. And then we had Dan Moultrie on. That was super fun.
Dan the man.
And then we tore up them stripers after that podcast.
Yeah, we never specified what we were fishing for, but yeah, we went striper fishing with him, and it was awesome. I mean, dude, that was so fun. But yeah, talking stories, hanging out at his house. And we'll have to do another episode with him at some point, kind of all about hunting stories, because it seemed like a lot of people really liked that in the back half of the episode.
Yeah, we when those came out, one of the reasons we used those for Thursday episodes is we were actually traveling quite a bit in May, and so we'll talk about that maybe towards the end of the podcast. But Jacob went up and redeemed himself for this turkey season up there in Wisconsin.
Oh, dude, it's been so long since we done.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, turkey hunted, man. It was a great time.
Yeah, so all right, let's do some Q&As real quick, and then we'll get to story time, I guess. All right, let's go to Malachi Kreider from Texas. He's asking about specific bucks.
What's up, Southern Outdoorsmen? My name's Malachi. I'm from Texas. As you can see, it's pretty dang hot out here. Been working outside. Listen to one of your podcasts. I got to thinking, none of you, either you or Jacob, seems to ever have really tried to target like a specific buck for the season. So I guess the question is, either of you ever had any single buck you wanted to chase and give the whole season to, and if not, why? And the second question is, when is one of you guys going to switch over to traditional archery? So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later.
When are you going to start shooting trad?
Listen, I've got a longbow, got a recurve. Currently have zero interest in hunting with it. Fun to shoot though, but zero interest in hunting with it. Props to the guys that want to, go full-fledged into it and actually have success with them. What about you? You're the one I feel like closer to trying to go full traditional archery.
Yeah, I was shooting I haven't shot it in a little while, but last year I was shooting my recurve bow a ton, and I did want to go hunt with it last year, and I never did. I almost brought it out a couple times, but I just felt like I was too inconsistent. Like some days I would go out there and I would just be punching it at like 15, 20. And then other days, I'm not even hitting the target like the next day. And so I'm like, I don't feel confident enough taking it out yet. But they are really fun to shoot, and I want to try it. Maybe this is my year. Maybe I ought to actually start shooting my bow like right now if I want to do that. Specific bucks. I tried to hunt a specific buck last year, and he didn't do his part and show back up.
Listeners from last year will know of Steve. This 10-point injury head on the club, and yeah, I'm telling. So, well, I want you to keep going to your thoughts.
Well, I was gonna hunt him, and we got him. He was gonna be the first time I ever really tried to hunt a buck, and he showed up in August and then just disappeared. Never saw him again on camera or anything. So that's why I haven't done it. Now, I do have some deer on public this year that I'm pretty interested in trying to hunt that I had on camera last year. But I'm looking at it less of trying to hunt a specific buck, and I'm really just hunting the spots, like the historical spots. And There's 2 or 3 bucks in there that I would really like to catch up to this year, but I'm not like locking down on them or anything. I don't know. I'm not there in my deer hunting right now. I don't know. I just still like general deer hunting too much to try to lock down on one deer, I guess.
Yeah, no, I've
Jacob doesn't even run cameras.
yeah, Andrew runs pretty much majority of our cameras. I've run cameras in the past, but I've never. I don't think I've ever. Let me think. Other than naming Steve, I don't think I've really ever named a buck on camera. It's just like, oh, there's just a nice deer in there. My thing is, I really enjoy hunting and just looking for areas that you have an opportunity to have a certain age class of deer. Which I always say mature deer, but it's like, dude, if a really pretty 3-year-old comes through, or by happenstance, a 2-year-old listen, been a rough time, rough year, he comes in, he's got a pretty good frame, he would have been a fantastic buck in 3 years, okay? He comes in, does the show, and I just get a glimpse of him, shoot him, I'm still going to be happy with the deer. Is much more because, well, I'll say this. Also, we live in a state, it's a 3-buck limit in Alabama. So it's not like we're in a 1-buck state, like, say, Kentucky, where your whole season revolves around that one tag. I just like you said, I like hunting deer and getting opportunities at seeing multiple different bucks and trying to find just like not really antler characteristics, but body characteristics of a mature deer, a good deer. And it's fun because pretty much all the bucks I've ever killed, I've never seen them before I shot them. Never had them on camera, nothing like that. And I really enjoy that aspect of hunting. But also, I'll say this. There's a lot of you guys out there, a lot of people out there that like hunting specific deer, and they have the time and effort to really try to focus on one deer, and that's awesome. If you can do that fairly consistently, I know there's off years, but killing target bucks, that is a huge accomplishment. But also, I know so many guys who have gone down that rabbit hole and got heartbroken because another hunter killed that deer, and they get all upset because of it. The deer dies, deer disappears, they're stressed out because they're targeting one specific buck. And some of those guys get burnt out from deer hunting because they put so much emphasis on killing a specific animal that they have years of history with, that if something happens to that animal, especially if another hunter kills it, it wrecks them. And that doesn't interest me currently at the moment. I have enough heartbreaker. I don't need to build crazy history with an animal, with a buck, just for him to disappear, get killed, or something else happen. So,
yeah, I'm kind of like you were saying. I'm just more interested in just hunting deer at this point. Like a lot of I get more fired up about spots that I found more so than deer that I found. Like I've got a couple areas on public, like where me and you hunt, and there's some really nice bucks on camera in there, but I'm more excited about the terrain features that I found in that area and just hunting those terrain features because I don't know what's going to come through there.
Yeah.
Probably a bunch of deer that we don't have on camera.
Yeah, and that's like, everybody hunts for a little bit different reason. I really like from the sense of adventure, like not always knowing exactly what's there. Like, yeah, running some cameras, but cameras are only watching such a small area. And especially when you're not using... Like, you're not on a property where you can use bait. Like, hunting public land, can't have anything kind of attractant to put out in front of a camera. So that's why we use scrapes a whole bunch. And it's like, you get so many different photos of so many different bucks. It's just like, okay, cool. Like, we've got 7 or 8, 10 point, or not 10. Oh, that'd be crazy, 10 points. But, a bunch of 8 points, all bunch of different age class of deer in like one specific spot that like you don't really know when you're going to hunt there what you may see and what you may kill. But, yeah. I haven't got to the point yet of like hyper focus on any kind of specific deer.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. Again, hunting
day.
spots, kind of like Chuck Young. Like Chuck Young doesn't really, like, which was Monday's episode, doesn't really run trail cameras. I think he's run cameras a little bit in the past, but he is very much like hunting spots in and around rut, but even during bow season too, that are high odds spots that he's going to see bucks. And he doesn't know if it's 125 inch, 5.5-year-old 10 point comes out, or if it's a 160-inch deer that's going to come out over around the mountain. And there is a sense of that adventure that I really, really, really enjoy. And also, it's not like I've heard of guys, man. I feel like we interviewed one on this trip, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm trying to remember which guy it was. But he passed a buck because he thought it was a different deer that was smaller.
Yep.
But after the deer was at 30 yards, he thought it was a different deer. It turned to walk away. He got a better look at it and realized it's the buck he's been hunting all season, and it got away from him. He never killed that deer, and the neighbor killed it. Heartbreaker. Dude, Shoot
good.
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
If specific bucks make you happy, fantastic. If you just want to go kill meat, have fun with it. If you just want to kill a certain age class of deer and you're just hunting spots that could be productive, especially during the rut, again, more power to you as well. So whatever makes you happy, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Chuck here in a minute. Next question is from Zach Kirby from North Carolina. He's asking about thermal equipment.
Hey guys, my name is Zach. I am submitting from coastal North Carolina. My question is, where it's legal, would you recommend utilizing a thermal scanner? They seem like they'd be pretty valuable entering the woods, exiting the woods, try not to bump animals, recovering game, things like that. I know personally there are some times this year where I'd be setting up my saddle in some pretty thick stuff, trying to get high, looking into kind of the growth in select cut pines. And there'd be a deer bedded about 20, 30 yards away from me that I had absolutely no idea was there until it started moving, even with me, trying to keep an eye out for things like that. And, just having something that I could pick up quick, scan the area around me, see if there's any heat, and then, switch to the binoculars or the scope to, identify and validate. But they seem like they'd be pretty useful. I don't know anyone personally that uses them, and just wondering if you do or if you had any thoughts on them. And, just want to say can't recommend your podcast enough. I've personally grown tremendously as a hunter from your content, and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
All right, you getting some thermals? What's up?
So, first off, this is a conversation that will upset a lot of people online. So I don't know. I've heard of some guys using handheld thermal units for scouting in the summertime, like specifically around like agriculture, like fields, like right after dark, glassing fields, and 15, 20 minutes after dark, seeing if there's any other deer out there and where they're popping out from to kind of figure out maybe where they want to run cameras. I have talked about that in the past. Like if you had like a little thermal monocular when you're walking through the timber to keep from bumping animals. I mean, the thing is, you're going to run into stuff. Say, okay, situation, you scan and you've got an access point that you're going into, and you see there's deer in the way. Depending on the habitat, how likely is it you're going to be able to swing around them without still bumping them? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But no, I've thought about that in the past. Again, I'm not going to do it, but I have dreamt about it just from like keeping myself from bumping animals, but especially bumping deer. But also, I don't know the legality on it. I mean, I'm sure some states, I've never looked into, like, because I don't really care to spend the money on thermals because they're super expensive. But what the legality is of having a thermal, say, monocular device on you during hunting season, like if you're bow hunting, especially if it's something that absolutely cannot be attached to a weapon. I don't know the legality. I'm sure some states probably state something about, no thermal use during hunting season. It always cracks me up on a side note when you see guys, especially like you see them in Alabama, posting some of the Facebook groups that they're gun hunting during gun season. They got a big old thermal scope on there, and guys be like, "Well, why do you have that?" And it's like, "Oh, I can shoot them during daylight and everything." I'm like, "Sure, bud, sure." You're telling me that shooter steps out 10 minutes after dark, and you're still sitting there. You ain't pulling the trigger on that hunt club.
Yeah, that's so much more common than people think it is.
For sure, absolutely. So that's the problem with it. Sure, I think it would work fine, but I don't really care to do it. But, check the regs and everything. Again, everybody online, what is your thoughts, especially on YouTube, about using a thermal device like that, like a handheld monocular, scanning the woods as you're going to and from the stand to keep you from bumping something?
Yeah.
I'd love to. Like, is there a morality issue there? I mean, you're not using it. You're not supposed to use it to actively take game. But I mean, I'd be interested in getting the public's thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I'd be curious about the same thing about what other people think about it. Yeah, I mean, if it's legal and you want to get one of those, I mean, I could see the utility of it, why it would be useful. But I think you actually made a good point. Like for instance, Zach, climbing up the tree, seeing deer around you, would it really change anything? Is my question of what you're doing. Like if you're already just trying to be super, super quiet, get up the tree, like getting in your spot, is the thermal really going to change anything of like getting up your tree, getting set up before daylight? Probably not. So it's just one of those things where it'd be fun to play with, for sure. It'd be really fun. And maybe it would help you not bump some deer. I don't know, potentially. Back when I worked at that bow shop in Birmingham, we had little handheld scanners. They were like $400 at the time, and there's people coming in buying them for that reason, for accessing their stand. Like, it wasn't something that you could like walk through the woods with probably and like find your way with without a flashlight. But you could still be wearing your headlamp and just cut your headlamp off and like scan. You don't see anything, go a little bit further, cut it off, scan. But like, I don't know, unless you're accessing way before daylight and you got time to make some maneuvers, I don't know how practically useful that would actually be.
It'd be a great way to find skinwalkers.
Hey, Jacob is really, really into skinwalkers right now, everybody. So if you got some good skinwalker stories, Jacob at thesouthernoutdoorsman.com. Send those stories in.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a skinwalker segment.
Yeah.
We start getting some stories.
Yeah. There's a lot of Texas hunters.
Have you ever had a target buck get killed by a skinwalker? Let us know.
This is one off the rails. So I'll tell you one application. Again, I'm not going to do it. I don't have the resources. And again, I feel like it's probably not legal in Alabama if I had to guess. But dude, if you were sitting at a clear cut, like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old clear cut, and you climbed up real high, instead of using binos, using a thermal monocular, looking through it, I feel like would be a cheat code. Again, kind of gets back to fair chase and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying to do it. I'm just saying from an application standpoint, I wonder how well you could see that body heat in one of those clear cuts, especially on a cold morning.
Probably really, really good.
I'm sure somebody will write and be like, yep, I've done that before.
Probably so.
Yep.
I don't know. Thermal question, hot button issue, but
kind of gets back to the whole thermal drones. Again, guys using thermal scopes on their rifles during hunting season, even though they say they're only hunting during daylight. Like, why would you even put yourself in that position?
yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I'll be interested to hear what people say about that. But all right, so we just wrapped up this big trip that we've been talking about. We went all through Arkansas and Missouri, interviewing all kinds of people. Had a really great time. We got a whole bunch of interviews recorded, and actually the first one we did on that trip was Chuck Young, and we decided to go ahead and drop that one this week. So what do you think about all the Chuck?
I love Chuck. I love his energy. I love his confidence, his perspective. Again, being a later onset hunter, got into it when he was about 35. He's 67 now, and just went full-fledged into it. I mean, just crushing mountains, finding deer, learning how to hunt deer in the mountains, not really having a mentor, so a lot of self-taught information. He's a great guy. He keeps it real simple. Well, I mean, he bow hunts. He hunts with muzzleloader, hunts with a rifle. Majority of the time when he's killing his bucks is always pre-rut to rut time frame, so muzzleloader to rifle season in Arkansas. And he has so much confidence hunting these terrain features that, he's able to capitalize very consistently up there in the mountains. And again, I think majority of the time hunting and killing deer that he had no idea were living in that area. Just finding the right sign, the right topographical features, putting time into them, hunting exclusively mornings. Had some comments about how he hunts sitting above some of these terrain features on the mountain because he doesn't use a tree stand and his thermals are going to suck down. Well, he talks about in the episode timing that with a rising thermal a little bit later on in the morning, and just has tons of success. I love Chuck Young. He's a super popular guest. He's been on. It was like, I think it was 3 years ago when we had him on, 4 years ago maybe, and we had a ton of listener success stories come from his episodes. Still do today. So it's just great to get him back on the podcast.
Yeah, it was a really good time interviewing him. I was really excited about the ground hunting conversation too, because it's just something that I feel like is relatable to a lot of people and maybe kind of open some doors for you if you either don't want to get in a tree or there's certain spots where maybe it's not advantageous to get in a tree. I got a couple spots like that. So I was excited to have that conversation. And yeah, one thing about Chuck, and we got this in the comment section quite a bit, was his enthusiasm is just kind of like contagious. He's just fun to listen to. He gets you excited.
Yeah.
Like, especially, that was such a good one to start off our trip with when we were up there, because he's just like so fired up. Dude, by the time we left his place, I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go scout some stuff. Let's go up in the mountains. I already like mountain hunting, but he I don't know, it's a different level. Gets me fired up about it. So yeah, Chuck was great. We ended up, Chuck's more of a mountain guy. We interviewed some swamp, river bottom, flatland guys on this trip. We interviewed some interesting people. There's all kinds of episodes, but they're not going to come out in order. So they're going to be like kind of scattered throughout this fall. We're getting ready to do another trip here in the next couple weeks where we're going to be going actually east, kind of eastern seaboard. So if you guys got any guest recommendations up there, let us know because we're looking right now.
All the way to Pennsylvania.
Yep. Alabama to Pennsylvania, babe. So we'll see. We'll see what we got going on. Yep. But yeah, let us know if you've got any guest recommendations up there. We're always looking for new people. And hopefully we can go get these done and get some early season guys on, get some rut guys on, and get some late season guys on. So last year we got a lot more requests for late season episodes, so that's going to be something that we are consciously making an effort towards this year is doing more late season episodes. So hopefully we can find some late season guys.
Yeah, because that's the problem. Like where we're at, we chased the rut all the way through almost into February in Alabama. And by mid to late December, all these guys are now switching their heads towards late season. These other states have a November rut. And we've neglected you guys for the last 8 years. So we're going to try to help you guys out and try and get some good guys on that have a lot of success post-rut hunting. And all of these states have, even states in the Deep South, that have a true November rut in the area of the state that they hunt in and how they go about having success post-rut late season.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about is our episode with old Dan Moultrie. That was a really fun episode to record. Like we said, Dan he's really well known in the hunting industry. I mean, he started Moultrie feeders and Moultrie game cameras. So he's one of like the big dogs in the industry, obviously. And but he's also hometown for us. His company's based in Birmingham. We both grew up like right next to where their headquarters was. And so we had him on, and I was interested to see how everyone responded to having like a big hunting industry guy on and talking about the business side of hunting a little bit. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, it was very well received. Mm-hmm. So we're looking to do some more guys like that as well in the future because it was honestly received better than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the hunting stories. I mean, started talking about when he was guiding in Alaska, taking clients up there and just all the crazy encounters. He's got so many more stories. We're going to do a whole episode with him on that. But it was interesting to kind of pull the curtains back on how the modern hunting industry was built by guys like him and Toxie Hayes and a bunch of other guys, Will Primos, from back in the day, kind of paving the way forward for now all these other companies and everything else. So it is fascinating because, again, there wasn't a space there before those guys got started. And as he said, he was like, how did he explain it? Not eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day, but like, being real broke for like 7-8 years trying to make something happen,
yeah.
Finally it picking up.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't give it that much time to like try to make something happen.
Yeah.
They'd give up and go back to doing whatever they were doing beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of always fun to talk about because anyone who owns a business can probably relate to that. But anyways, yeah, we want to have some more of those guys on. We got some irons in the fire right now, so hopefully we'll get some more guys on like that. But other than that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've had going on in the last month or so, because again, we've been kind of absent from here with these other Thursday episodes we've been doing. So some people are asking about it. Jacob redeemed himself. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, went and killed some turkeys. It was funny because we had some listeners send us messages on Instagram. They're like, man, I haven't listened to the last few turkey episodes. Did y'all ever have any success? I'm like, I did. The better half of the Southern Outdoorsmen here. No, it was fun. Me and my buddy, our buddy Kyle Size, we went up and hunted up north and had a fun hunt. Man, it was great outside of the worst mosquitoes I've ever experienced in my entire life. There's no place I've ever been that had worse mosquitoes than up there.
And really?
Kyle said the same thing. Kyle's from some swamps, boy, in Alabama. And he's like, it was the worst mosquitoes he's ever experienced, ever. And he grew up in the swamps of Alabama.
It was worse than your Tennessee hunt?
Worse.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Like to the point, I'll give you an example here. We get up there, drove around, ended up finding some birds the very first afternoon we got there. We only had like 30 minutes left of light. Went in, got them fired up, came about 70 yards, wouldn't get any closer, couldn't get shots. They went to roost. We ended up getting back in the truck, going to go park, and we're going to go stay at a campground. And we get out of the truck, and we're going to set up some tents. Like, oh yeah, we'll tent camp. Well, I got hammocks in the truck. We get out of the truck, and the mosquitoes are already kind of bad. We get out of the truck, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. Sun, it's dark. We go to like, I think he starts changing. I start changing out of some of my hunting gear. And then all of a sudden, you just hear this, the loudest humming sound like I've ever heard from mosquitoes. They were on my truck like horseflies, okay? Like, you know how horseflies will just like swarm a truck, especially you go to like Eastern Arkansas, it's real bad. Like, almost, not bullflies, there's another fly they have out there. Anyways, mosquitoes were on my truck, coating us, flying all around us. Like you had your headlamp and it was just a cloud everywhere you looked of mosquitoes. And they aren't little, these suckers are like gigantic mosquitoes, okay? Like literally suck the blood out of you, okay? And we're like, dude, we're getting mauled. We're spraying down with bug spray. We didn't have enough bug spray. We're spraying down. And I told Kyle, I'm like, you can have the tent. I'm sleeping in the truck, dude. I'm not doing this. Well, we had my truck doors open because we're like getting gear in and out.
Oh, you messed up.
We ended up like, calling audible. Like we're sleeping in the truck time. We jump in the truck, shut the doors. There's probably 500 to 1,000 mosquitoes in my truck. I'm talking like the headliner in my truck. We look up and the headliner in my truck is just like speckled black with mosquitoes. They're on all the windows. They're on us. They're on everything in my truck. Okay?
Dude.
We then proceed for the next 45 minutes taking our hats off, killing mosquitoes, swatting mosquitoes in my truck. There are still mosquitoes embedded into the headliner of my truck. Okay? And we didn't even kill them all. We killed as many as we physically could. And they were like, we are exhausted. We're going to sleep. And like we slept in the truck. Normally when I sleep in the truck, I crack my windows. Get a little airflow going in and stuff. Didn't do none of that. I had my little battery operated fan I carry with me when we truck camp. Had that going. And you're just going to bed and you can hear them humming in there. And all of a sudden you start getting bit on the neck and the face.
Inside
in your truck getting bit, bro.
Wow.
I'm talking gnarly. Hey guys, it's Jake. We got a quick tip for you in this podcast. One thing I've been working on over the last year is trying to figure out how to be less bulky really while saddle hunting and mobile whitetail hunting. And the biggest issue I always had was I really liked really large packs. And the problem was outside of certain points of the season, like when it got really cold, I never used the full capacity of some of those really big backpacks. And one thing I started doing is using a smaller pack that has a lot more expandable capacity. So you can still pack a lot of stuff if you need to, but it's also very streamlined. It's super easy to go in and out of the woods with, especially during early season or just when you're not packing a lot of cold weather gear. This is the Latitude Ranger 22. I used this all last season and I could pack a surprising amount of gear in that pack, specifically a bunch of cold weather gear, both bibs, jackets, extra layers, along with a platform, or when I was hybrid hunting with a small little lock-on, having a small lock-on on here as well, along with my sticks. And this backpack works really well with that. So if you're in the market for a new backpack and you're trying to streamline what you're doing, I'd really highly recommend looking at the Ranger 22 from Latitude Outdoors. And you can check out the Ranger 22 at latitudeoutdoors.com.
All right, guys, we're out here today. Got a little in the field tip for you. We're scouting this fresh clear cut. I think this was cut sometime in the spring. We identified this using onX's recent imagery layer. This image is about 2 weeks old. They update this every 2 weeks, so you're getting brand new satellite images. So we were able to find this beautiful clear cut. I mean, look at this. This looks like where a lot of big bucks get killed in the south in rifle season. So we're actually using this tool along with the topo map to walk and look at this low spot over here to see if we can find a good rifle setup for when the rut comes in a couple weeks. So we're gonna walk over there and check that out. In the meantime, if you want to access this or any of the other features available with the onX Elite membership, use the promo code SOUTHERN and you can get 20% off.
Also on that fact, so Kyle's never gone on a hunt trip with me, okay? He don't know about the chainsaw.
Oh my gosh.
We woke up the next morning. I say we woke up. He was already awake. He'd been awake. And he's like, dude, You snore louder than anybody I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh. Look, I just spent 8 days traveling with Jacob, sleeping in hotel rooms, and look, Jacob snores so bad that sometimes I think about waking him up and like bringing him to the doctor. I'm like, he's not getting enough oxygen. Like he's gonna die. It's not good. It's alarming how bad you snore actually. So Kyle got to experience that.
Yeah, which is worse because I'm sleeping in like a slightly elevated position in my seat of my truck. And we proceeded the next day to go to a local Walmart and get foam earplugs for him to wear.
God bless.
Yeah, but we ended up sleeping in the truck for I think it was 5 nights. But yeah, it ended up killing some birds, man. It was fun. Kyle ended up killing his biggest turkey ever. Should have went and got a digital scale. He's killed a couple in the low to mid 20-pound range, like 24 pounds, and it was bigger than any of those birds. Had right at it was an 1 9/16 spur on one spur, and then right at 1.5 inches on the other spur. So one was just over 1.5 inches, one was right at 1.5 inches. 12.5-inch beard. And just a big bird. And that bird, dude, he came in. God. See, we're talking about turkeys now. We've way done transition to deer hunting. So 99% of you guys probably don't even care about this. Well, he ended up killing his big bird, but I ended up killing 3, and he ended up killing 3 birds. But yeah, it was a fun time, great time. So
yeah. Well, it sounds like a good trip. Y'all found some deer sign up there, huh?
Found some deer. We saw a lot of deer. I was surprised not to find nearly as many like bigger rubs as we ended up finding. But we had deer all the time. Like we had deer almost ruin a hunt for us. Just because like we were coming in on birds and there's deer coming by us. Thankfully the wind was good and we were sitting still or standing still and they kind of just eased on by. But ton of deer. But yeah, I mean we found some stuff. I was kind of looking for sheds casually as we were walking through. We found some big trails. I mean, dadgum cattle trails, horse trails. But yeah, just focus on turkey. It was fun. One thing that we noticed is, listen, there's some very nice people in the Southeast. I think Deep South's well known for like hospitality, super nice people, all that kind of stuff. I'll be honest, up there in the north where we were at, it might have had Southerners beat. They were so nice and polite, it was kind of scary. I was telling Kyle, I'm like, a couple of these people you run into, I'm like, they kind of give off like serial killer vibes. So nice, so sweet, and smiling, and like super hard eye contact. I'm like, you've definitely killed somebody.
Oh my god,
you're up here hiding. No, but it was awesome, good time. But
yeah,
so won't stay on the turkey stuff too long because I know a lot of you guys probably don't care. A lot of you guys are coming back now to the podcast that we got off turkey content, back on the deer content. But it was super fun.
Yeah, we're also in the trip planning session, part of summertime where you're trying to figure out what you're doing this fall. And, man, me and you were talking about, we got some messages about what we're planning on doing this fall. And we got to talking about it, and we're like, we might just do Alabama, honestly, this year. But we had points for Iowa, and so we put in for Iowa archery. So if we draw that, obviously we're going to Iowa. But if not, I don't know.
We have a decent chance to draw, but like I'm not holding my breath on it.
Yeah, I mean,
like there's a decent chance to draw. There's also a very good chance not drawing. So we'll see.
Yeah, when we were discussing it and everything, what we might want to do this fall, you were the one. You were kind of like, man, I kind of just want to hunt Alabama this year. I can't remember what you were saying about it. You said something like you wanted to give it like you wanted to kill a nice deer down here. Yeah.
Which I mean, I killed my biggest one ever last year, but I'd like to not necessarily one up it, but I'd like to kill a couple of those this year.
Yeah.
would be super super convenient. Because last year was rough. Outside that one buck I killed, which again is my best Alabama deer, it was rough. Like I just didn't have nearly the amount of buck encounters as I've had in the past for some reason.
Yeah, me too.
Hunting similar spots, similar time frames, all that kind of stuff, and just I don't know, it was strange. But so I said that like I kind of want to stay here, but also at some point it's kind of starting to happen. The wanderer in me is like, it would be cool to go to, go back to Arkansas, go to Missouri, go to Kentucky, go somewhere. I don't know, but I don't have anything super in stone in mind of what I'd like to do outside of trying to draw Iowa. If we don't draw Iowa, maybe trying to find one other place to go to, but just not try to hunt 3 or 4 states for deer this year.
Yeah, no, definitely not. That's kind of where I'm at too. I just want to buckle down on Alabama. I feel like I got my butt whooped so bad last year. I got to redeem myself. I'm like, all right, I gotta spend some time here. I gotta refigure things out because I don't know what happened last year. But a lot of people that we know and talk to had a kind of a rough season last year, so I don't feel too terrible about it, at least right now.
Yeah.
So if it happens twice in a row, then we might need to have some kind of intervention or something. But yeah, it was kind of rough last year. But I'm excited about hunting Alabama this year. One thing is we're getting a ton of rain right now. It has been just raining.
Like every other day.
Serious rain like every other day. It's like the opposite of what happened last year. And so I'm kind of eager to see how that shakes out this fall. We had real bad drought last year. A lot of the mast-bearing trees aborted their crops right before season, so we had a bad mast year last season. But with all this rain right now, hopefully we have a good mast year this season, but also all that rain, everything's so lush and green right now. Hopefully they start piling on them antlers. Does start getting fat, getting all the minerals, help their fawns out.
Yeah, I remember, maybe it was 2019, we were talking to Michael Perry because I think he killed his state record buck in 2020, if I remember correctly. And it was one of those years where that last deer season, 2019, it was a good mast year. So the deer were like pretty healthy, body weight wise. Then it was a really wet spring and a really wet summer. And he was I think we had interviewed him. He's like, there will be some huge deer get killed this fall. So they ended the year pretty healthy, again, with super heavy mass. And then really lush spring, really lush summer, going in early fall. And by God, did he not kill a 196-inch buck doing it. And there were some other real big deer that got killed that year. Really big deer that got killed that year. So, it'd be interesting to see if anything changes, especially everybody out there that's running trail cameras. If you like we talked about earlier, you are hunting some specific deer. You get some history of some deer on your property. If you see any kind of increase, jumping, slight antler growth, mass, all that kind of stuff potentially this year. If not body weights, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll be following it. I've got a bunch of cameras out on our club, my new club right now, and I'm starting to get some bucks on them. And they're growing their antlers, but it's nothing crazy yet. I mean, they're past the brow tine. Mm-hmm. The ones that I've been getting on camera, and I've probably got maybe a 3-year-old so far.
I was gonna say, what's the bodies looking like? You got any
think,
ones that looking?
Yeah, I mean the 3-year-old. I mean, I think he's 3. He looks okay. But I put one camera out and it pretty much immediately died as soon as we went out of town. So it's just been sitting there for like 14 days with no batteries in it. So I got to go fix that maybe this afternoon. But yeah, I gotta get out there, and I'm gonna start. Me and Mike are trying to break down the club. And one thing that Mike has been doing while I've been out of town is he's been out there and he's been just slow rolling those roads almost every day. And he's looking for the concentrations of tracks where they're crossing the roads, and then he's going to go move his cameras based off of that, which I think is definitely the right thing to do. And after driving out around that place a couple times, there's so many pines on it, and you got different kinds of pines. And Mike went through and he like drew on the map and outlined which pines are good for bedding. So now we have shapes around those on our map, and that actually helped a ton. Because then you look at the property, you're like, oh, okay, this is like really manageable. Because there's probably 6 or 7 different good bedding patches on the property. And so we're going to go look around the edges of all of those. And we're going to put our cameras wherever we find a concentration of tracks on the roads in relation to those little bedding areas.
What's he classifying as bedding pines?
Like the kind of pines that they'll be in January, basically.
Describe for the listeners.
Loblolly pines that are like 10 to maybe 15 feet tall. They've still got a bunch of briars and thicket underneath them, so they're nice and just nasty and thick. But it's not just a bunch of deciduous trees underneath them. It's not like sweet gum saplings and things like that. The kind of loblolly pines that you can't hang a tree stand in yet. like at all. Like you can't saddle hunt in them. You can't do any of that. It's still just a thicket underneath. But it's the kind of thicket then that when everything dies back, it's still going to be thick. And so if you look at it that way, there's only a couple places on the property that kind of set up like that. And so we're going to do that. We're going to basically key in on those, and I think they're only going to get better and better as the season goes on and everything starts dying back. And then other than that, I mean, basically just cruising those roads. The other thing I'm doing with the property is because it's so many pines, and I mean, there's thin pines, there's young pines, there's fresh clear cut, but it's mostly pines, and it's got little bitty SMGs running through it. I am gonna take my map, and I'm just gonna look at the topo map. I'm not even gonna look at a satellite image whatsoever, and I'm gonna look at all the best topo spots, and then just go to them regardless of whatever the habitat looks like, and just see what I find. Because I think it'll force me to maybe get out of my head a little bit when it comes to the pines, and just trust the terrain on the place, see what it looks like, go there, see if I can find some intersecting trails or whatever. And from the little bit that Mike's been walking around there so far, pretty much every one of those SMZs he's gone into, he's immediately hitting rubs, and he's finding rub lines in every single one of them. So it's looking good so far. It's looking a lot better than the old club as far as just finding buck sign. Pretty much every time we've gone out, we found good buck sign.
No, that's a huge improvement because the other club literally across the street, it was not like that at all.
No, it was depressing across the street. We had, I'm not going to spoil who it was, but we had a really interesting discussion on this Arkansas trip with a biologist. And we were talking about rubs. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying that some of those properties will just have a lack of rubs because there's just not basically good rubbing trees there. Like bucks like to rub an aromatic tree. That's why you see them rubbing cedars and sassafras and pines and things like that. You hardly ever see them rub an oak sapling. Alders. Yeah, something that's got a bright colored like inner bark or cambium layer, and something that smells. Like the more aromatic, the better. And he's like, if some properties, like he consults on properties, if some properties don't have an abundance of those trees, you just don't find a lot of rubs out there. They will rub an oak, but if they've got a line of 10 oak saplings, they might rub one of them. If they've got a line of 10 cedars, they might rub all 10 of them. Like they just prefer doing that. So that was interesting. That was an interesting conversation. Y'all are going to hear that one in a couple weeks. But it made me think about that old club. Because I'm like, the deer were there. I mean, there were bucks on it, but man, it was just hard to find bucks on it. And I wonder if that's what it was. Because it was a lot of pines, but it was a lot of pines, loblolly pines that got the big, thick, nasty bark. Like a buck would have to rub the absolute crap out of it to get down into that aromatic layer. And unless it was just a little sapling. And there wasn't really very many of those little saplings in those planted pine forests because it's just a pine monoculture. They're all the same age pines planted in rows because it's timber company land. So I wonder if that's what it is. Could be.
Or they're just rubbing in spots you can't walk very well.
I mean, it could be that too.
That's another thing I always hear. I can't find buck sign. There's a chance it could be in a spot that's just not easily to traverse. But like you get in there, like I'm thinking of like a 6-7 year old pine stand, and if you can get into it, you can find sign. Like, I mean, I've seen that when we gone rabbit hunting and some stuff like that. It's like you walk the edge of it and kind of like all little openings, you don't find anything, you get inside of it, and then you start finding big sign, but it's like, dude, you got to get in there. It's not fun getting into that stuff. Briars and just, I mean, all kinds of crap that you got to deal with. But, you know, I think that can be a factor too on some properties, but I think he was a good case study for it. As many properties as he's walked, that biologist, it's like just some properties have a lot more sign than others. And didn't he mention something? I'm not to talk too much about that conversation for when it comes out. He mentioned something about like also age structure played a huge factor in that too, on like increase of buck sign. I feel like it was with one of the South Carolina properties he was talking about where like started doing some heavier managing for does and really letting buck get age to them, and then like the sign really started to explode, if I remember correctly.
I think that was the other biologist, which is coming out this Monday. You're thinking of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he talked about that?
Yeah, towards the end.
Sick.
Yeah.
Don't miss Monday's episode, boys and girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was coming out Monday. Daggone.
Yes, sir.
Bangers, baby.
Yeah. Hey, that one coming out on Monday is one of my favorites we've recorded in a long time.
Yeah, you said like within the last 4 years it was your favorite episode.
Yeah, seriously. It was definitely one of my favorite. I mean, it was a really fun conversation, different conversation. Man, there's just some cool stuff in that one. I'm not going to ruin it, but yeah, y'all definitely want to listen to Monday. That was a super fun
Listen,
episode.
watch it, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. All right. You were talking about joining a club.
Yeah, I still got to call a guy.
All right, so he's not joining the club.
Maybe not.
Just calling it right now.
Maybe.
For like the last 8 days, I'm like, all I've heard is, well, I got to call a guy. It's been like 9 days.
You know, is what it is.
Yep.
I don't know. I'll see, but no. Other than me, maybe not joining a club. We'll find out later on. Stay tuned. But we have had some pretty cool trips. So I went to Venice, Louisiana, did a fishing trip with some buddies. Fished with a Mexican Gulf Fishing Company. Did inshore one day for speckled trout and redfish, and then we did one day of tuna fishing, and it was amazing. Saltwater will ruin you guys. If you've never saltwater fish, if you go with somebody real good, it will ruin you for freshwater fishing. I still have an itch to crappie fish. Like, we went striper fishing with Dan, got like some 8-9 pound stripers, 10-pound stripers maybe was the biggest one, and I felt like we were catching bait for when we were out there. Like, it was stupid, man. Freaking ruin you.
Catching tuna.
You're a hardcore bass fisherman, guys. Like, bass fishing's fun, but I'm just telling you, you ain't nothing saltwater. Go try it, dude. It's ridiculous. Tons of fish came back with so much food, so much fish, dude. Oh, it's unbelievable. But absolute blast going down there. And it's crazy going to Venice because like there were some guys. We actually was talking to one of the captains, our inshore captain, Hayden, and he was telling us, he was asking us, like, well, what all we did, and I told him about the podcast. He's like, oh, man. He was like, that's cool. I'm like, do you hunt? I mean, I know you fish, clearly, but, like, do you hunt? He's like, oh, yeah, love waterfowl hunting, love deer hunting, love turkey hunting. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. And I was like, do you ever deer hunt down here? And because there's public land down there in Venice. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I have. He's like, there's some guys down here that kill some really big deer. I'm like, what do you mean by really big deer? He's like 130, 140-inch deer. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And, dude, driving around it, I don't even know how you'd hunt it. Because it's like reeds like 10 foot tall. And the problem is that you pull a boat up into them, they're growing in the water. They might be in 7 feet of water, right where the reeds start. So somehow you'd have to get far enough up, and maybe there's more of an opening up there, but you ain't getting in a tree, dude. There ain't no tree to get into. I mean, you have to pull a Dan Infault and carry out like an 8-foot step ladder to like stand on top of or sit on top of or something. I mean, I don't know how you do it. But we were talking about deer hunting a whole bunch down there. He's like, yeah, he's like, dude, there's some guys that kill some big deer in like body weights, so big body weights. Like, he's like, guys kill 230 to 240 pound, 250 pound whitetails down here.
We need to find someone down there to interview. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. He said he had a biologist come out and fish with him, a whitetail biologist, and the biologist was like, he supposedly had done some studies or something. He was real familiar with the area and said there was some kind of plant, and Hayden couldn't remember what it's called. He said they called it like, it's like, it sounds super generic, like swamp weed or something like that, but it's some kind of legume that grows in the marsh down there that's super high protein content. And he's like, the deer hammer it, and that's what the biologist like. They feed on that a ton down here. It stays green for a super long period of time. They can feed on it a lot, along with everything else. And he was like, that's maybe one of the reasons why you have like the super heavy body weights. Because I'm thinking, if you live in a marsh, I think it'd be very indicative of having low body weight, so you can get around and you don't sink in crap. But
Yeah.
Hayden's like, no, they kill some giants down here, body weight deer.
Interesting. Maybe we should interview old Hayden.
Maybe it'd be fun. He'd be a fun guy. He was talking specifically like the waterfowl hunting down there. Was pretty good. But when we were talking about the deer hunting, one guy who came to mind, because I think he's hunted down there before, somewhere around there, is Warren Womack, and he had a photo. I remember he's posted multiple times, like from his hunting journal, where they took like a T-post, or not T-post, they took like a post hole digger out there and put in a 10-foot tall telephone pole in the marsh. And I don't know if it was down there or somewhere else in another marsh, but they did it in the marsh to be able to get up high enough to shoot deer in those reeds.
Dude.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Anyone who can kill deer down there, I would like to talk to. That sounds cool.
Wild stuff. But it's crazy because you go from like New Orleans and it's like a 65-mile drive through nothing. Like you were literally, there's water on the right and there's water on the left and there's 200, 300, 400 yards of land, in quotes, that you're driving along before you get to Venice. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, as one of the guys from down there, he's like, yeah, you're at the end of the world down here, man. There ain't nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, it's water, fishing, and that's about it. Yeah.
Did y'all see any deer down there?
No, absolutely not. If we would have, that would have been awesome. But we were talking about alligators. I was talking to Hayden about alligators when we were inshore. He's like, oh, yeah, he's like, we kill gators. He's like, I've seen gators when I've run one of our other boats and we're going out tuna fishing. Halfway to the rigs, run across gators in the open water.
Oh, wow.
He's like, I don't know if they got lost or what, but they're out there swimming.
Yeah, I've heard about that in some places we've gone in Florida where those gators will come out of the rivers and the marshes and they'll swim out in that salt water. And the guys down there, they were saying that they thought that the gators do that because it helps get parasites off of them, like they can't stay in the salt water or whatever. But I don't know. That's interesting. See, a gator way out in the Gulf.
Yeah, because I wonder, like, how many gators get eaten by sharks?
That sounds like some kind of TV show. Shark versus gator.
Gator ain't gonna survive that, bro. I'm telling you right now, he's out of his elements. That ain't gonna go good for him. He's got too many loose limbs hanging out there.
Oh my god.
No, but it was cool when we get back from tuna fishing. We were fishing on a 42-foot Freeman center console boat, which was stupid. It was awesome. And we get back to the marina, and there's a kid at the marina fishing, the Venice Marina. And he pulled his fish out of the water, and I'm like, dude, I'm thinking, like, catching redfish, spoke trout. He pulls his fish out. I'm like, there ain't no way that's what I think it is. He caught a largemouth bass. And I've heard them talk about, like, catching it, because, like, we're right there on the Mississippi River, like, right there, it's just enough freshwater that largemouth bass can live, crappie and all that stuff. But also you can find redfish there and speckled trout. And, yeah, he caught a largemouth bass right there at the marina, which I was like, I can't, that's crazy, dude. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds like a fun trip. Yeah, and you were with our buddy Daniel Williams, Cedar Ridge Chronicles. He's got a YouTube channel, and he filmed it, and he put the tuna video up on the YouTube channel.
Is it?
Yeah, it's up. I saw him post it the other day.
Okay.
So people can go watch that. Go over to Cedar Ridge Chronicles. Check it out. You get to see Jacob get his butt whooped by a tuna, baby.
Dude, it is awesome, but I'm so thankful I didn't hook into like 150-pound tuna. Because these
what kind of attitude is that?
Dude, listen, it's something else, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. The week before we got there, the captain we were with, they hooked into a marlin out there. They had a marlin start blowing up on top of water, and they threw out a big live bait behind the boat and hooked into it. They didn't land it. Didn't have the proper gear for it, but they fought it for a while and posted it. But, I mean, dude, it is so fun. Like, it is just so fun. Swordfish for a little bit. We didn't catch swordfish, but one of the other boats in the fleet, it was probably half a mile from us. They were talking on the radio. They ended up landing a 110-pound swordfish, too. So,
yeah.
Swordfish, I would describe swordfishing as like kind of like catfishing. You just got a line out there and you're just sitting there drifting, just
waiting,
chit-chatting, watching that rod, just try to tap. So,
yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, maybe next summer we'll do a couple little fishing interviews, maybe some bonus content with some of these saltwater guys, because man, there's nothing like saltwater. That's one great thing about living in the Southeast is you're never that far from it.
Depends on what state you're in, but yeah, I mean, like for us to go to Venice was only 6.5 hours maybe drive.
Yep.
That's like top premium of the premium kind of location. I mean, you get to Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, Destin, all that kind of stuff, Pensacola, way quicker. So.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so if you guys want to write in some Q&As, we got them on the website. Should have said that in the beginning. You can do that. You can do that in at the southernoutdoorsman.com. The other thing I'm going to say is we're about to launch a whole bunch of new merchandise. So we got some shirts, some new hoodies, a bunch of stuff coming out. That's going to be coming out probably later this month, so y'all be looking for that as well. We'll announce it on Patreon at first. Very first people to get dibs on it will be Patreon. Then it'll go to our new newsletter subscribers, Woodsman Wire. You can sign up for that on our website. And then we'll post it on our social media accounts and everything, and we'll announce it here as well. So if y'all want early access to all that, you can go over to Patreon. The other thing about Patreon, so when we just did this big Arkansas, Missouri trip, we got a bunch of episodes in the bank, and we're going to be putting those up on Patreon for early access. So right now, I'm going to try to hold it to this as best as I possibly can, but right now, every Wednesday, you're going to get a new episode on Patreon. So Monday, you'll get these episodes, Mondays and Thursdays on our feeds like normal, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube. But on Wednesdays on Patreon, you'll be getting an exclusive drop over there as well. So actually, the first one went out this week, early access episode. So y'all go check that out. Super excited about that. With both of us doing this full time now, it gives us the freedom to go out and get all these episodes done, and so now we actually have the opportunity to do something like that on Patreon. So I'm excited. We're going to keep it up as best we possibly can. We're getting those out every single Wednesday on Patreon, so y'all be looking for that.
And some of those interviews won't come out for a handful of months, and you'll get early access on Patreon. So
yes,
another reason to go over there if you want to get some early access on some of these interviews, because especially from the trip we just got back from, there's not a single one that's not a banger. They are all, dude, I was so impressed with how well they went in the conversations and the guests that we got on. So a lot of new blood, some old blood, some Hall of Famer guests that's been on the podcast before. So we'll mix of everything. So it's all going to be up on Patreon here soon.
Yep, definitely. You got anything else?
No, appreciate everybody watching the podcast. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll catch you back here on the next episode from the Southern Outdoorsman. And remember, guys, y'all stay Southern.